Welcome to my review of the Omega 3570 5000 Speedmaster. This watch has been in production since 1996 and is now being replaced. Refer to my unboxing video for more details. I must start with a mention of the watch's pedigree. The history of this watch is a key part of its appeal, the Speedmaster. There are plenty of websites to explore this in some detail. I do also want to challenge some of the misconceptions around the 3570 and highlight why I think this is a real and possibly the last classic moon watch. This is not a replica, this is a working watch which is flight approved by NASA and which has flown with both American and Russian astronauts and cosmonauts. The 3570 stands on its own as a well-engineered chronograph with, I think, the best combination of heritage but modern design features that gives you a watch that will run well and last a lifetime. You can see some of the pictures here with the history of the original Speedmaster with the Apollo missions, and also a more recent document which shows the approval for EVA and flights into space from NASA, dated from the early 90s, with a specific gauntlet designed for that purpose, and also showing a Speedmaster watch itself. You'll also see some pictures of a Russian cosmonaut, I think taken from the International Space Station, some of these from the early 2000s, so almost certainly a 3570 in use, and also quite an interesting strap arrangement in one of the pictures. I think duct tape has always been quite popular in the space race. So I'll also touch on the fact the presentation. Another reason I like the 3570 is the original Speedy from the 60s, say 1967, came in a red presentation box, slightly smaller but very similar, and I've got a picture of a closed original box I've taken from the net, which shows that. I mean, essentially this is the same watch as worn by the Apollo astronauts in many senses. The original watch worn by Buzz Aldrin was a calibre 145, and we'll come on to show you that on a piece of paper. I've actually got a picture as well of Neil Armstrong's watch, which is in a museum in the States. So the original calibre 145.012 worn by Buzz Aldrin. This was updated, I think, in '68, but do follow on the page there for the details. Updated to a 145.022, which moved from a 321 calibre to 861 calibre movement, basically from a column wheel to a cam. This increased the beat rate from 18,000 to 21,600, so a more accurate watch. The 3570 then moved to an 1861 movement, basically very similar to an 861, but this had an additional joule, went from 17 to 18 joules, and at some point became the 1861A. Is also rhodium plated. Rhodium is equal to or more than the price of gold, and certainly very good for corrosion resistance, and looks good as well. There's some misconception about the watch having a plastic part. It does have a Delrin brake, the 3570 for the stopwatch feature. This is not a plastic part. This is a very strong thermoplastic, low friction, excellent dimensional stability. Really quite a strong, modern, self-lubricating part. And if you look at something like Formula One, it's very common to use modern materials. So I think that's an advancement for the watch, not a cost saving, and precision engineered. There are a few external differences from the 1960s watch. The typography is a bit different, longer hour markings, slightly different dial, and the stopwatch second hand is pointed, where it's squared off on the short side on the 3570. The 3570 also has bigger crown guards and also uses superluminova, not tritium. Obviously tritium is radioactive, and you will see on older watches that it tends to fade. Superluminova is a strontium aluminate, non-radioactive and extremely photoluminescent. And I have got a picture up of my watch in the dark, and you can see that you really do get good visibility. Another difference is the bracelets. The old bracelets had springs in, which gave some stretch, but also that will wear. The 3570 bracelet is more like a diver's bracelet, very solid, very sturdy, and I've certainly never had any problems with it. Easy to change the links as well, and that's something I'll show on a following video. One thing I did want to mention was the hidden date function on this watch. Today is the 24th of August, and you'll see that the stopwatch second hand is showing me that it's the 24th, and for tomorrow it can show me it's the 25th. And I think a lot of speedy users use the stopwatch mainly for that feature. But joking aside, we'll go into some more details on the watch now. So here we have, it's a lovely looking watch, perfectly engineered. I think this will always be in the top 10 watches of all time, just on looks and the fact it's basic functionality, nothing fancy. It's really a man's watch, and I think the 3570 is the best combination, and is still genuinely a flight certified watch which has been used on missions, and is a combination of the best features of the original Moon watch and modern materials. I mean, basically the watch tells time and also elapsed time. There's a 48-hour power reserve, although mine has done over 52 hours, I think, and it has mine loses about 7 seconds in 24 hours, which is still good for a watch of this design. And the stopwatch I find is very accurate, so I'll show you a separate information on that shortly. So how to wind the watch up? Basically I think it's around 40 turns. And there we are. It's actually nearer 80 turns, so shows I don't normally count. But basically you just wind until it stops with the crown in its first position. If you then pull out to the second position, you can set the watch to the correct time. So if we say now it's about 20 past 11, and you can also, to actually pause and get the seconds right, you just need to hold it back, and then you can just hold it back, and then when you're ready you can just synchronize, and that's the watch set. Certainly apologise for stating the obvious with winding up there, but it is just really wind until you feel resistance and then stop, and do that every 48 hours, or wind a little bit day by day as you go. I like the fact the watch needs to be wound every day. I think it keeps you in touch with the world and time in general. Watch is waterproof to 5 bar, 50 meters or 167 feet. I'm not too paranoid about getting the watch wet on that basis, but obviously there's a pressure rating if you're diving into water, and I'd say if you're going to go fishing, then maybe the Seamaster is your better bet, and I'll do a review on one of those in the future. The tachometer function, not much mystery there, actually quite simple. So we have the stopwatch, so basically you have a pusher to go on the stopwatch, and same pusher to stop, and then reset. And I'll show you a bit more detail on that shortly. The tachometer, really very simple. Basically you time between 2 points, so if we just passed starter and you're measuring your vehicle or whatever the object is and get to around 12 seconds, basically stop, and you can read from the outer ring the units per hour rating. So a simple example there, if we said we were at 1 mile in 12 seconds, so that's 5 miles per minute, 3,600 seconds in an hour. So 12 seconds, 3,600 divided by 12, that's 300 miles per hour. And I'll see if I can focus in. Maybe not that good there. Let's just see if we can pull back a little bit for you. You can just see there 300 miles per hour on the black outer bezel. So that's no great mystery on the tachometer, and obviously that will work with any unit. And I think it can't be understated how important that function is, the ability to measure elapsed time was on the space missions. Another thing to mention is the Hesterlite crystal. There's a lot said about that. I mean, basically PMMA, it's transparent thermoplastic, it's lightweight, it's shatter resistant, and an alternative to glass. Yes, sapphire crystal is harder, but it's not shatterproof, and this is much lighter material, which will maybe scratch or dent but won't shatter, and it's easy to polish. You can get polish, and if you look online, to remove any scratches. There's also a lot less glare, which I particularly like on this watch. It's got very good resistance to outdoor weathering, good resistance to impact, high tensile strength and rigidity, so you can see why that was picked, particularly the shatterproof element for the moon missions and subsequent. Okay, kind of out of time now. I have got some information on the stopwatch and bracelet in a bit more detail. I'll put those up separately. Just to talk about the box with the new version of this watch, the 311. Basically, you'll see this is coming with some spare straps, and the new bracelet is a screw type bracelet on the 311 version. So I still feel the 3570 is the original working version of this watch, and it's maybe as we move now towards the update, we're starting to have more of an artifact or memorabilia, whereas I think the 3570 is still, as I say, a watch with the pedigree, but also which is seen active service and is very closely linked. Thanks for watching, and I hope to put some more up in due course. Cheers.